We're back with some breaking news. President Obama responding to those secret Romney tapes. He made the comments for an interview to be aired tonight on David Letterman. Here's a clip.
I don't know if you have seen the videotape, but I'm sure you know what we're referencing here. Mitt Romney at a fundraiser, I believe, in Florida. There's a cell phone videotaping his remarks, and he talks about being, in very dismissive terms, why 47% of the people voting don't matter to him. And what does that mean? Is that what rich guys at country clubs are talking about?
Well, I don't know what he was referring to, but I can tell you this. When I won in 2008, 47% of the American people voted for John McCain. They didn't vote for me. And what I said on election night was, even though you didn't vote for me, I hear your voices, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to be your president. And one of the things I've learned as president is you represent the entire country. And when I meet Republicans, as I'm traveling around the country, they are hardworking family people who care deeply about this country. And my expectation is that if you want to be president, you got to work for everybody, not just for some. And
there's a stunning difference between what the president says there and what we heard from Mitt Romney on those secret tapes. The tapes expose the disdain Romney feels for one half of this country, but they also expose a stunning ignorance of the facts.
47% of Americans pay no income tax. So our message of low taxes doesn't connect. He'll be out there talking about tax cuts for the rich. I mean, that's what they sell every 4 years. And so my job is not to worry about those people. I'll never convince them. They should take personal responsibility and care for their lives.
I'll never convince them they should take personal responsibility. You see, the Governor Romney, one whole half of this country is made up of takers to him. 47% of the country is getting away scot-free. Too bad the facts don't line up with that. Look at this chart. Among the households that didn't pay income tax last year, 61% paid payroll tax. These people aren't freeloaders. They have jobs. They're contributing. These folks paid over 15% of their income in taxes. And guess what? That's a higher rate than Mr. Romney paid. And those other people in the pie who aren't paying income taxes, they're elderly, they're students, they're people with disabilities, they're disabled veterans, they're the long-term unemployed, down on their luck because of the Bush recession. These are the people who Romney says don't take personal responsibility. That sort of talk is just ugly. Joining me now is Margie Omero, Democratic strategist, and Annie Lowry, economy reporter for the New York Times. She's writing about this today on the Times economics blog. Thank you both for being with me this evening. Annie, let me go to you first. Let's break down the facts. This 47% figure that Romney cites ignores the fact that most Americans are contributing. Is that right?
Yeah, virtually all Americans who are of working age or older pay taxes. And if you don't pay income tax, you generally pay payroll tax. And if you're not paying either of those taxes, it's either because you're very poor, because you're a student, because you're elderly. But the bottom line is that it is true that about half of households don't pay income tax. But the reason why is kind of complicated. The recession is a big part of it. Your age is a big part of it. So the statement is accurate but somewhat misleading.
Well, but misleading because they are paying some form of tax or they're making some form of contribution, and it really has nothing to do with personal responsibility or they're lazy and shiftless and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that, Mr. Romney noted was that if these people aren't paying taxes, you can't lower taxes on them. Again, these people are paying payroll taxes, and the Obama administration has actually lowered payroll taxes to give families a little bit more money in their pockets and to increase the incentive to work. So the idea that they're not paying any taxes is just not true.
Now, I want to ask you one more fact before going to Margie. The Bush tax cuts are a reason that many families no longer pay income taxes. In fact, the Bush tax cuts erased the income tax burden for 7.8 million families. So in reality, Romney's complaining about something that his party contributed to.
Yeah, absolutely. And there have been a number of Republican policies to reduce the tax burden, especially on low-income working families, especially on families with kids. The Bush tax cuts, that's one part of it. It reduced tax rates, and it increased credits for things like having kids, and that just wiped out a lot of people's federal income tax liability by design. That was part of what the Bush tax cuts were designed to do for these families. That isn't an accident. That was what was supposed to happen.
Now, let me go to you, Margie. Mother Jones' video that was just released now. Governor Romney talks about the president dividing the country. Take a listen to this.
I wind up talking about how the thing which I find most disappointing in this president is his attack of one American against another American, the division of America based on going after those who have been successful.
Really? He's dividing America, Margie. I mean, here's a man that just talked about is his job not to worry about half the country, 47%, and they're irresponsible when we just broke down on why they're not paying federal taxes. They're contributing other ways. Yet he claims the president is dividing and pitting Americans against each other?
It's amazing the combination of wrong, insulting, and bad politics, bad strategy, and the lack of humanity in everything that we see out of these Romney tapes. It's all there. And he frequently does this a couple times, accuses the president of really something that he is actually is part of his campaign. I mean, when you have the right, and you see it in the Romney tapes, and you see it a lot on the right, this worry, this paranoia that there is a conspiracy to increase dependency, that half of Americans think of themselves as victims. Mitt Romney's actually labeling people as victims, people who don't think of themselves as victims at all. I mean, you have seniors on fixed incomes, you have students, you have a variety of folks who may not think of themselves as victims in any way. And for Mitt Romney to accuse so many people of thinking of themselves that way, it really just shows his complete lack of understanding of the American experience.
Now, you're a strategist, Margie. Is there any way for him to dig himself out of this one?
You know, a gaffe like this is particularly damaging when it reinforces what people already think about the candidates, and this is really what this does. I mean, it in fact reinforces everything we know to be about Mitt Romney and everything people's worst fears about Mitt Romney. And it would be one thing; it would be bad strategy still, and his strategy is wrong and his facts are wrong. But it would be one thing if he was simply caught talking about his campaign strategy, which is what he said he was doing. But on top of that, he doesn't actually have policies that focus on helping seniors or future seniors who need Medicare. Focus on, the Ryan plan, as we've talked about before. Reverend wants to cut college affordability.
Right.
Wants to cut food assistance by 17%. So his policies are similarly against those Americans. On top of that, what's interesting is he said, he's so hypocritical when he says, I think people want to pay taxes. He said in his interview today, when when rich people, when the wealthiest among us don't want to pay taxes, that's okay. But when you have folks who can't actually afford to pay taxes, who can't afford that, those people are lazy and they're victims and they're, just want a handout.
Right, and no responsibility. And let me go back to you, since you are the bearer of facts. Romney claimed that people who don't pay taxes are voting for President Obama, no matter what he says. But look at this map. These are the 10 states with the highest number of people who don't pay federal income tax. It's estimated that Governor Romney will get 96 electoral votes from these states. President Obama will get 5, and 29 are toss-ups. So he's really talking about potentially his own supporters in these states where he's going to, according to what is being polled, get significant electoral votes.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's conflating a number of numbers here. It is true that about half of households receive some form of government assistance, like Medicaid or Medicare. About half of households don't pay federal income taxes. About half of households at the moment are saying that they're going to vote for President Obama. But the notion that all of those three things are the exact same group of people is just silly. For instance, take the elderly. The elderly very often don't pay income tax because not a lot of very old people are out working a payroll job. And those people are disproportionately voting for Mitt Romney. So he's really, it's inaccurate to think that there's even, we don't know how much overlap there is there, but it is also true, like you pointed out in the map, that these Republican states have tended to have more people who haven't been paying income tax, in a lot of cases because they're poorer.
Margie Omero and Annie Lowrey, thanks to both of you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Still ahead, the results of a brand new NBC poll with a big shift in how voters view him and the economy.